Hey there, homesteaders! It's a beautiful day here in the desert, and today we want to talk to you about everything from pollinators to predators.
And join me in the kitchen where I bug out with some fun insect-inspired snacks.
So grab your nets and your magnifying glasses so we can catch those tiny little critters in action.
Let's do it!
We're Kaliki and Bret, a rugged and adventurous gay couple who are sick and tired of clashing with life in the city.
So we decided to head into the desert to chase our dreams and thrive.
Along with our furry friends Chuck and Momo,
We'll explore DIY projects, tiny house construction, gardening, hiking, cooking,
and share what it looks like to jump headfirst into homesteading.
So subscribe and join us on our dusty adventures to build this desert dwelling.
Hi, Peter. Here's Peter Mantis. He is a part of a long lineage of praying mantises that have decided to live here. They catch all kinds of things from mosquitoes to wasps that get into our screen porch, and he is a great benefit to us. They are called praying mantises for their prominent front legs, but don't let those fool you. Those are basically just giant serrated scissors that are meant to tear everything they catch apart. He or she has been living on our porch for a few months now. There was 2 of them. The other one's disappeared, but I'm sure it's here somewhere. They have 2 large compound eyes and then 3 smaller eyes in between. He's looking at Momo right now, or he's looking at me. I don't quite know. He's not doing it now because I think he's a little bit more relaxed, but when I was trying to pick him up a second ago, he got into his defensive mode where those little black spots you can see between his shoulders, he turned them sideways and he looked like an owl, kind of. The females oftentimes will eat their mates even during mating. He's trying to get up there onto the camera. When he sees the phone, he's trying to get it. Oh, so cute. The green, brown, and sometimes tan coloration of the ones in this area give them really great camouflage. They can turn their little triangle heads 180 degrees, which gives them a pretty good view of everything going on around them. These little creatures are fierce predators. We just finished feeding this one a yellow jacket. We also caught one in the high tunnel the other day that had caught a lizard and was just tearing it apart. Praying mantises have to molt 7 to 9 times before they reach adulthood. We found one of the exoskeletons that had been discarded as this one had grown. When we first moved here, we would find these all over the place and we didn't know what they were exactly. Come to find out, these are praying mantis egg cases. These cases may contain 50 to 400 eggs, which hatch into about 200 young mantids on average. Hopefully there's one close enough that some will find their way into our porch again. Well, I think Peter's probably had enough of my company for now, so why don't we head out into the garden and see what else we can find? Ah, the humble ladybug. She may look classy and delicate, but she's a diligent predator that endlessly murders aphids to help our garden thrive. Oh, and to feed herself. Here we find a ladybug larva, which can hatch from its egg in as little as 2 days. A single larva can eat up to 400 aphids and molt several times while preparing to pupate. Once they've stuffed their faces sufficiently, they attach themselves to a leaf, or in this case, the asparagus fronds, and whoa! That's a lot of pupa! Where was I? Oh yes, in this stage, they basically do nothing, as far as we can tell. But inside, a biochemical process directed by cells called histoblasts, the larval body is liquefied and whipped back together like a meringue into a beautiful eating machine. Let's get out of here before she eats us. The northern scorpion. Northern scorpions are usually the only scorpion in its territory. They live in areas where other scorpions just couldn't survive the cold. This is the most northerly scorpion in the world. Researchers have frozen scorpions overnight, only to put them in the sun the next day and watch them thaw out and walk away. Looks like he's just as annoyed by the mosquitoes as I am. Although scientists are not quite sure why, scorpions glow under ultraviolet light. They are rarely known to sting people. Most scorpions have a long lifespan. In the wild, they'll typically live from 2 to 10 years. In captivity, some scorpions have lived as long as 25 years. Scorpions give live birth. After they're born, the newborn scorpions ride on their mother's back where they remain until they molt for the first time. After this, they're out of there. Ooh, he caught something. They are nocturnal hunters with poor eyesight. They detect subtle vibrations in the air and ground through cone-like appendages to figure out where and what they're going for. And here comes the venom. Scorpions are arachnids, which means they're related to spiders. Alright, let's get out of here. There were way more bugs than we were expecting, so here's a quick rundown of all the other ones we found. The monarch butterfly is a milkweed butterfly and an iconic pollinator species. Here's a leafcutter bee. These are solitary bees and they like nesting in holes. Here's a tarantula hawk. It has the second most painful sting in the world. They live mostly in Arizona, New Mexico, and Southern California, but recently have been found here in northern Nevada. The female paralyzes prey with its sting, and then will lay a single egg on its abdomen. Upon hatching, the larva consumes the tarantula from the inside out. Here's a bicolored Acapostemon sweat bee. These bees are named for their attraction to human sweat. Here we have some kind of grasshopper. They are among what is probably the most ancient living group of herbivorous insects. Here's a syrphid fly. They feed mainly on nectar and they sure do fly fast. Here's a type of longhorn beetle. Here's a blue mud dauber. They are not normally aggressive towards humans, thank goodness. Here's a western harvester ant. They are large compared to common urban species. Well, that's it for now. Why don't we head to the kitchen and see what Bret's up to?
Oh, hello, Beatrix. Won't you come in? Today I'm going to be making some appetizers. Momo, it's fine. Something's worrying Momo. Come on over. First thing I'm going to do is juice these lemons. Well, first I'm going to cut them in half, and then I'm going to juice them. I zested these lemons for next week's episode, so make sure to watch that one too. And now I have some almonds that I soaked in hot water. I boiled water and then just waited for them to cool down. I'm going to take and squeeze them out of the husk. This can be kind of tedious, but it's not that many, so it's not too bad. And I get to sit here and talk to you, so that makes it all worthwhile. Now that I've got all those peeled off, I'm going to go ahead and put it into the blender. This is a really simple recipe. All I'm going to need is these almonds, lemon juice, water, and salt. And then I'm going to add some everything seasoning into it. You can flavor it any way you want. This is just how I'm doing it today. So anything that you want to add to it is going to be good too. And I can just have almonds forever and do this whenever I want, instead of like cream cheese that's going to go bad, or if I went and bought an almond cream cheese at the store that only lasts for a certain amount of time. And living here on the homestead, I have just a really small mini fridge, so I can't keep a lot of things cold for a long time, so I've really got to think about that. Also, Kaliki's vegan. So now that that's all done, it's going to have to chill in the fridge for about an hour, and it should thicken up a little bit. I'm going to be using several different vegetables today to make these little appetizers. Here I have some little baby yellow crookneck squash that we grew in our garden. I'm gonna cut them in half and then just cut them into small little slices. And I have some black olives, which I did not grow, unfortunately. I'm going to cut them in half lengthwise and then just cut them into little slices, about the same thickness as I did the squash. Here are some little tomatoes we grew in our garden too. I was wanting some that were a little bit bigger, but we didn't have any that were ripe today because we've been picking them all. But these will work fine. And here I have some little gherkins. It's kind of like a cucumber. They're originally from South Africa. Then we're going to cut them in half lengthwise. These ones I'm going to cut into really thin slices. And some I'm just gonna cut in half. And cut some into thicker slices. I'm also gonna cut up a little bit of green onion into just small little strips. I'm gonna take some celery and just cut it into little pieces. I actually just found out this whole thing is called a stalk of celery, and the individual pieces are called branches or ribs. So I'm just gonna cut these into about 2-inch pieces. This is gonna be the base of all of our little appetizers, and we're gonna make different bugs on these. It's kind of a little play on ants on a log, but instead it's gonna be ladybugs and bees and beetles and caterpillars on a log. So the almond spread has chilled for about an hour now, and I'm going to transfer some of it into a Ziploc bag. And just cut a small opening in one corner of the bag to pipe it into the celery pieces. For the bees, I'm alternating between slices of black olives and the yellow squash. And then I'm using really thin slices of the gherkin for its wings, and some green onions for the antenna. Now I'm gonna do some, I guess, caterpillars. I don't know, I kind of phoned it in with this one. And for the ladybug, I'm starting with a little piece of basil for a leaf that it's sitting on. And then a half tomato. For the head part, I'm using another piece of the black olive. I'm going to make a tiny hole to stick a black sesame seed in for the spots. And we have 7 spotted ladybugs here, but I'm not going to mess around with that. So I'm only going to do 2 spots for each of them. And I'm going to use just these small gherkins that I cut in half and make some little beetles. And just put some of the green onion for antennae again. So there you have it. What do you think? It could be better, but I'm pretty impressed.
Well, hopefully you learned something from today's episode, and we sure had a lot of fun finding all these bugs.
And I can't wait to try all these fun little snacks. They're so cute, and I know they're delicious because I snuck a few before we filmed this. I want to eat this little bumblebee. So good. So good. Ah!
And I'm going to try one of these caterpillars.
Well, eating these fun little pretty snacks has been a good time, but I'm ready to go inside and attack the container full of this cream cheese stuff. So be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next episode of Desert Dwelling.
See you next Tuesday.